Geocachomaniacs.
Geo Gearheads.
Hey, welcome to Geo Gearheads. This is episode number 458, and we're talking about group caching, and specifically group caching during COVID. Hey, welcome if you're new. This is Geo Gearheads. It's a weekly podcast about geocaching and geolocation games. I'm Chris of the Northwest, along with our host, Daryl W4.
Hey, welcome back. Good to be back after a little short hiatus. And I might add a COVID scare too.
Yes.
We had a COVID exposure incident at work. Turned out that it wasn't anything, fortunately. But one of the guys that had been in the office for all of about half an hour had gotten a call the next day. Sir, you are positive for COVID. Wait a minute. When did I get COVID tested? Well, you know that blood work that we drew for your physical? Well, COVID is now part of the regular screening. We're pretty sure that from everything we've heard that it was antibodies, which means
he had it.
He had it. He didn't still have it.
Okay. So it was an antibody test and not a...
Well, and that's what we're being told by everyone is, no, there is no current blood test for corona. It's for the antibodies, which means if it's present, it's already been addressed.
Well, I don't believe that to be true. I think there's two tests.
There are two tests, but the actual COVID test for finding out if you have COVID are the nasal swabs.
Mm-hmm. That go up and touch the brain.
Right. And I had to have two of those.
Oh, one for each nostril?
No, because you have to do, we did the rapid test, but they don't have as good an accuracy rate.
Mm-hmm.
So they tell you to do both.
Oh, okay.
So we did the rapid test and we did the other one that's like a 2-day turn, and both came back negative, so we're safe.
Or safe-ish.
Well, safe this time around. But of course we got COVID when we went to get the test, so it doesn't matter. I'm kidding, of course. Who knows if we got COVID when we went to get the test. So yeah, it was a fun time to,
Was it really
stuck at home? Not really. Well, and you can't even go for the test for the first 72 hours after exposure.
Oh, really?
You have to, you can, but it won't necessarily show. So they say you have to wait the 72 hours before you go for the test.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's not valid. I can't go back to work if I go back, if I get exposed on Thursday, going to test on Friday, I'm not allowed back at the office on Saturday. Not that I would, but I can't go back to the office on Saturday because it's not been the 72 hours.
Wow.
So,
congratulations. You don't have...
I'm COVID free.
COVID, but...
Yeah, and a wasted weekend. Wow. And
yeah.
And the worst part is it's not like you get to really do, it's like, geez, I would love to go over to Home Depot and grab that toilet, get that installed. Nope, can't do that either.
I'm sorry. No, you can't do that.
And of course,
you want to do something fun? No.
Well, yeah, and of course, because you have the exposure incident, you're supposed to self-quarantine. Well, we hadn't gone grocery shopping yet for the week. I literally called my wife as she was pulling up to Target to start doing her shopping. Go home, quarantine. We had an incident. Wow. It was the perfect timing to screw us up. White Coast just says, what a horrible way to spend a long weekend. The worst part is it wasn't a long weekend. I still had to work on Friday to get everything addressed. Since I was already exposed and everything, I got to go into the closed office, make sure the cleaning crews were coming in to do the cleaning, all that kind of stuff.
Really?
The joy. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Well, keep in mind, I didn't get notified until late as well, because we just really didn't know.
Yeah, right. And you don't want to be that guy, do you?
No.
That guy who came into the office and no, okay. So have you been in contact with him? I mean, well, that was the wrong term. Have you been in communication with him to see if he's having any effects or if
No.
it
Well,
truly
and keep in mind, his blood draw was a
Mhm.
week before he got the results.
Okay.
So he was totally symptom free for an entire week after the blood draw. He passed the temperature screening to get into the office, because we've got one of those scanners that you have to check in at the front door.
Mhm.
Passed that one too.
Oh,
So yeah,
interesting.
we're pretty sure there's nothing there.
Right.
And even the people that he was running around with that day, like in direct contact,
Mhm.
they all tested out fine. So it really seems like it's, he wasn't actually a carrier. He just had the antibody test. But of course, that's not what they told him.
And why
So,
would it be? Right.
well, and regardless of whether it was or not, he was told he was positive. So we have to treat it that way.
Okay. Right.
You know,
Right. You don't want to take the risk that you're ignoring a positive,
exactly.
right? So, yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. Well, and even if he were, to have the antibodies, that means he's less likely to actually contract it. So he might still be carrying it, even though he doesn't have symptoms.
Right.
So, regardless of anything else, he was told it was a positive test. He didn't have symptoms, but we still have to treat it that way. He could be one of those asymptomatic guys. It could, there's any
Mhm.
number of things going on.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it has to be treated with a full force. And that means getting lots of cleaning done, lots of isolations. Yeah, such fun.
So, what did you binge watch over the weekend?
I actually, you know what? We're 8 minutes in and having a conversation about Netflix.
I
Except it
know.
wasn't Netflix. It was Disney Plus has Hidden Figures.
Yes.
Awesome. I
Isn't that
absolutely
a
love
great
that.
movie? Mhm.
It was amazing. I really, really like that movie. And then we watched some, kind of junky shows while we were doing other things. I'm trying to remember. Unicorn was the name of it. That one was on Netflix.
Utopia or Unicorn?
No, Unicorn.
Huh.
It's one of those ones that popped up, he's a widower with two kids, and that makes him a unicorn kind of thing.
Ah, gotcha.
Hence
Okay.
the name. So it was one of those recommended shows where, like, meh, it looks dumb enough. Let's watch it. It
What else
ended
are
up,
you gonna do?
yeah, well, it ended up being actually not too bad. And a lot of people in there that we recognized,
Mhm.
so kind of one of those, yeah, it's got enough names in it. We want to watch it. So,
A
yeah.
movie, not a series?
No, it's a series.
Okay. I'm looking for a new series.
It, it's a rom-com kind of thing. So it's the good one to watch with the wife.
Okay. Hey, speaking of geocaching,
And actually
uh,
getting outside.
something you couldn't do this weekend.
No, when I had to test my adventure lab, which
Okay.
that's one of
Now,
the things I did actually get mostly wrapped up.
Daryl, did you miss out on the Earth Cache adventure or the Earth
I
Cache
did. I did.
souvenir?
But I got all of the logs on my earth caches. All three of my earth caches got plenty of logs.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So
So,
shouldn't I get
bummer.
the earth cache souvenir by proxy.
Yeah. You know, somebody was saying they should get a souvenir if you place an earth cache.
Yeah, except that's gotten so tough that I'm not sure that's necessarily a good idea.
Really?
And I like it, but I'm not sure that because you would create problems with a slew of people trying to submit on at the same time.
Oh, right. Well, I
And it
mean,
is tough enough to do it. You're going to get probably some low quality earth caches that aren't going to get through.
okay. They should be able to place them up to a week before. So you've got the time to get them out and then, decide to release them on that day. Oh, look, a new earth cache. Let's go do that. My friend Iham and his wife Monkey Cakes went to area in Renton near, it was actually on a Microsoft campus. And Wits End and I were going to do an earth cache on Sunday. Our Saturday just didn't work out. Iham texted us and said, you got to go here. There are 5 cache types within, a 30-minute walk. Like, ooh, really? A traditional, a multi, a mystery, an earth cache, and that other one that I can't remember. So I was like, fine, we got to go do that. So we went. It was very enjoyable. And I got a webcam that I've been trying to get for years.
Nice.
It is a webcam over i5. It's called High Five over i5. And it's a pivoting webcam, so it can point north or south. And it always points north. And at north, there's no place to stand to be in the picture. You have to wait till it points south.
And of course, you don't have control over it.
You don't have control over it. It's just as luck would have it. So, yeah, as we were leaving, I was like, I got to check this. We're going to drive back that way anyway. And it's pointing the right way. So we got close to it. I said, Wits End, you're driving. I'm out. I'm going to go walk. And I thought it's going to take 5 to 10 minutes, right? It's going to take some time to refresh. Oh, no, I'm not in the right spot. Let me get up there. I'm walking up there, popping open on my phone. Okay. There's the webcam. I'm already in the frame. Done.
Nice.
Turn around and go back. I'm like, it couldn't have been any easier.
Sweet. Congrats.
Yay. That Nemesis webcam is finally off my list.
All right. So happy Hodag. We've had this comment on screen for a while. Questions how COVID has affected group caching. And Wet Coaster kind of answered with his question. Group caching during COVID, there are no events or CETOs being published in Ontario for now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the answer right now.
Daryl, can I tell you a story? Do you want to sit back and hear Uncle Northwest tell you a story?
Let's go for it.
Oh, I have the screen to myself. So
it's all yours.
Soon after COVID started, there was an event. It was the first celebration event that I could go to, and it was in Idaho. Idaho didn't have the restrictions of Washington State. So I talked to Wits End and I said, come on, we're going. And I dragged him there. And, it's across the state. So, it's a 6-7 hour trip if you don't stop for caches. So we made it, about 6 hours with caching and what have you. And then got a hotel room and made the short trek the next day. And when we got there, people were social distancing, masks were being worn. And I thought, this is very nice. This was put on by Mountain Bike. Perhaps you've heard of him if you're a geocacher or if you're a coin collector. And he did it really well. I mean, there were lines to sign the logbook, but people were distancing at 6 feet apart, and I felt very good and very safe. And then after all the event, there was an option to go up to get the oldest cache in Idaho. I thought, oh, that'll be fun. But you need a serious vehicle to do so. Well, my little car wasn't going to make it. Well, after looking at some of the others, maybe it could have. I mean, if a Prius can get up there, right? Um, but but I had talked to a couple of cashers I know and asked, "Hey, you're driving in a pickup. Is there any room?" "Oh yeah, yeah. You'll have to sit in the back with the kids." I'm fine with that. And never thought anything more of it until Daryl. On the way up, there were 13 people in this pickup truck.
That doesn't sound COVID friendly. Definitely no social distancing.
No. And, I had forgotten at that point about my social distancing practices. And, the excitement to go get some of these really old caches on a road that I don't think my vehicle would have made it on, overrode any of my critical thinking process, that, "Ooh, let's go get a smiley," overrode any of, I should really be careful about all this. And so I sat in the very back of the pickup truck. Wits End sat inside. So it was a four-door pickup truck. So they had um three. No, I think they had three. I think they had seven up front and six in the back. And I was in the back, so I figured, I'm getting all the air, but and I realized, well, I'm sitting in the very back. So if anybody coughs, it's all coming at me.
JD says at least it was outdoors.
Yes.
But
yes,
that's not true because it was in the truck.
I was outside. I was in the bed.
Oh, that's true.
Which in Idaho, it's legal to ride in the bed of a pickup truck. Okay. That's not true in all states. So
No, in Michigan it is not.
Okay. Absolutely beautiful. The road up was relatively smooth. There were some bumps, that you're holding on for dear life. We got up to the snow field and we all had to unload because we had high centered the truck on snow because of the weight of the bodies. So once everybody got out, he could drive nicely over the snow.
Wow.
But
well, it was 13 people in the truck, right?
13 people.
That's not a light load.
No. And it was halfway up there. I'm thinking, what am I doing? I have my mask with me. Should I put it on now?
So here's the next question.
Is it too late?
Well, yeah, at that point, it's probably too late anyway. Putting the mask on doesn't really protect you. It's protecting the people around you. But do you quarantine on the way home? Do you take a extended period and stay in a hotel or something? Because I've heard of people doing that too.
Never thought of that. We took shifts and drove straight back. Yeah, it was just one of those things that, oh yes, we got the cache. We got several caches actually. And some of Idaho's oldest. We got Mountain Bike's Priest Lake cache, which is Idaho's first geocache. He didn't want to put it there. He wanted to put it somewhere else, but the snowfield was still too deep and he couldn't get where he wanted to go yet. So he just put it here. And remarkable scenery, fantastic scenery, well worth it. Loved the people I went up with. They're good caching friends. Thoroughly enjoyed myself.
See, and I've heard all kinds of stories about people doing these trips and the way that they handled the quarantining. And I think this is a big difference in the way group caching works now. But are you actually going to share more? Or
if you have questions, please.
Oh, no, because I wanted to actually get into some discussion about these like trips and how you handle it.
Good. You really had me worried, says the Pizza Ninja.
It would have been terrible to jump out and say, "Oh, yeah, we're not doing the social distancing. I forgot. I'm going to head home now."
No, but during the event, I mean, you know how people tend to group up and chat and talk about their cache finds and that. And everybody was, we were in these big loose circles. Everybody was very cognizant of spacing and distancing.
Well, and the thing that I've noticed, I've done a few of the Pokemon Go community days or whatnot, where it's been unfortunate weather. So I go to the mall, usually because I have to do some shopping there anyway, to do the community day. And inevitably, we run into someone that we know and we end up talking. And I realize that in those kind of conditions, we end up closer than we should.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the last time I was at the mall for shopping, no Pokemon, just for shopping, it was absolutely insane because it was right after the Supreme Court had struck down the governor's orders since April 25th or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it literally is like all heck broke loose and all the morons came out.
Those
It was insane.
governor.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much, hey, I'm inside. I have my mask. See, it's right here on my head.
Yeah. I have one under my chin. I must be safe.
Yeah, we actually had people with them hanging from their ears. It was, it was an insane.
Not a magic sanitizer.
Well, and this is like not even COVID time. I would, these people were just so bad. I wouldn't have been in the same mall as them, were it not for COVID.
BC.
It was
before COVID.
Right. It was just the most inconsiderate people that you can imagine.
Oh, so you were at Mos Eisley?
The dumbest thing. At which?
You were at Mos Eisley. Some wretched scum and villainy.
Yes. That was
Star Wars.
Oh, it was Star. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to remember which one that was. Well, because there was a Lego playset that I just saw on it. Yeah. But yeah, there's a Lego's playset that I saw in a YouTube video that was like, ooh, this is awesome. It's only $300
with the band.
Yeah, and it had, I think, the sand speeder.
Mm-hmm.
It had the droids, and the droids have to stay outside because they're not served.
Yeah. The big what's the big green lizard? I'll come up with it afterwards. The Stormtroopers ride on.
Oh,
all I can think is Tauntaun, and I know that's not it. Anyway.
No, not the Tauntaun. And I'm trying to call them Jabras, like the headsets.
Wet Coaster says it's like people that ride bicycles with their helmets hanging from the handlebars. People with the mask hanging off their ears.
Yeah, and not holding on to the handlebars either.
Yeah.
Jar Jar.
No, it's not a Jar Jar.
No, Jar Jar.
Jar Jar is never the answer.
No. Well, sure it is. If you want to clear a room.
No, Banthas are hairy.
No, yeah. Well, because I remember something about a hairy bantha, so maybe there's a non-hairy bantha.
Oh, the hairless bantha.
Pizza the Hut.
Okay, so if you're gonna go caching,
Hardware Wars.
I'm not even trying with segues this tonight. If you're gonna go caching with a group, Daryl, it doesn't have to be an event, but perhaps you went together with people to go get this earth cache this weekend. What is the best way for people to cache together during this COVID time? I mean, my first thought is
that's one of those things is, are people actually really doing anything different? Because I've run into a number of people who are like, yeah, we know that we're fairly safe, so we're just going to go, hop in the car. We're wearing our masks. We're using the hand sanitizer, so we're safe. We're minimizing the risks as much as we care to.
There you go.
It's not worth distorting our lives that much. So these are the mitigation risks that we're willing to take, or mitigation actions we're willing to take. So if that's fine with you, fine. Especially if you're working from home. And that's one of the excuses that I heard from a lot of people. I'm working from home anyway. If I want to go out with my friends we're keeping our masks on, we're, doing all the right things, except, we're in the car together. Fine.
Well, see, that would be my suggestion, is to take separate cars at least.
Yeah.
Right? When you're walking the trail, you can social distance enough, right? And you're outside.
But
Outside,
if you're out
it's
for
supposed to be
those,
the panacea.
high terrain caches where it's off road, and you have the smart car, and your buddy has the Wrangler, everyone's going to pile on the Wrangler.
Yeah. Well, as long as you take the top off the Wrangler, right? And the
Yeah.
doors. I
Or
mean,
your Bronco.
if your buddy already has the Wrangler, the top and the doors are already off.
Oh,
I mean,
speaking of
come on.
which, did you see they're doing a mockumentary on the origin of the Bronco for the release of the new Bronco?
The new Bronco looks sweet.
I know. I want to see one and check it out for real.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me that they're doing all they can to hype up a car. Oh, bless you. So let's get back to the steps of group caching and what we think you ought to do. What did you can make a COVID earth cache where the requirements is to post your picture with a mask on. Yeah. Just Finding Our Way says only if the mask is made of rock. That would be quite effective because nothing can get through rock, right?
Maybe. I was
Like,
thinking, what about a silt mask?
ooh, a lava rock mask.
Sediment. Yeah, sediment.
Wow. So I would suggest taking separate cars, minimize the risk that way. Social distance when you're on the trail, of course, wear masks, hand sanitizer. If you're going for an earth cache, there's nothing that the group is touching together.
Yeah.
Right. So virtual earth caches.
And I would suggest gloves as well.
Gloves are probably a good idea.
If you're handling anything out on a trail, you don't know when the last person to have made contact with that would be.
So would you say disinfectant wipes?
I would say disinfectant wipes are a good idea. Hand sanitizer is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
But gloves, and they don't necessarily need to be the disposable gloves.
Right.
But if they're not, you're going to have to essentially sanitize the gloves.
Well, wash
if you're planning on reusing them.
Right.
Well, even between use, because you don't want to risk touching them as you pull them off.
Right.
So grab one of the wipes if you're using the wipes and clean up your gloves.
Now, will the bleach wipes damage plastic? So if you're doing
depends on
you are bleaching the snot out of the plastic cover there, is that going to wear it down over time?
It depends on the wipes. The Clorox and Lysol wipes are actually safe for occasional use on your electronics, according to Apple and to I think it was Samsung.
Yes.
And Lenovo. But you have to use those particular brands because some of the other ones, the bleach will actually melt the plastic. And some of them, you can't use the Windex wipes because the ammonia will actually eat away the touch coatings. So it's very, very particular as to which ones will work and how often you can use them.
I'm a fan of Whoosh.
But the Whoosh aren't sanitizing, are they?
Yes, they are.
Oh, those that's what I've been using on the screens.
Mm-hmm. We have one, a microfiber cloth and the bigger bottle of Whoosh in the living room, and just using it on a regular basis.
Yeah, we use it on any of the computers that the IT department gets back. We take the Lysol or Clorox, whichever we could get at the time, wipe down all of the plastics, including the keyboard, and then the screen gets a good whooshing.
Nothing like a good whooshing, Daryl.
Well, I've used the whoosh sometimes on the plastics, but I just don't feel comfortable using that as my sanitizer.
Yeah. The first time I heard of Whoosh, they were saying, when you take your phone into the bathroom,
Whoosh
it gets dirty.
Yes.
And so they were doing a swab of the phone give anybody's phone, swab it, test it, and it's in the thousands of biological particles. After the whoosh, there's less than 100.
Well,
So,
and I grabbed one of those ultraviolet boxes for the phone at the warehouse club this 2 weekends ago,
mhm.
3 weekends ago, something like that. And we've been using that occasionally. So, it gets whooshed and it goes in the box for 5 minutes and, it should take care of almost everything. But I don't know that I really trust those ultraviolet boxes that much.
I love the idea of it,
Yeah. Well,
but
and they do use the ultraviolet to clean hospitals and whatnot. And have you seen those robots?
yes.
They are
Oh,
so
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
It's like, stay the hell out of there. But wow. And one of the things, what I hate to be that guy, but one of the things I like about him, it's going to kill like the flies and the mosquitoes and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's nothing. Is there a whoosh list or link? Yeah,
I don't
probably come
think
up with
that.
a whoosh link.
Yeah, I don't think whoosh like he spelled it. Yeah.
WHOOSH!
Yep.
Exclamation point.
Whoosh. It's whoosh, not just whoosh. Whoosh.
There you go. It's in the
Chat.
show notes. WHOOSH.com for those listening. If you're driving and you're thinking, I should order some whoosh right now, but how can I do that? I'm driving. Well, let me tell you.
How
We whoosh it all over. Right now you get 10% off.
Oh, from their website, yeah.
Yeah.
And they are on Amazon, which is where I tend to get them, among other things, because we have the Amazon Prime for work.
Mm-hmm.
So, we get to order
I
stuff.
haven't, I got the starter kit, which had the little tiny bottle in a little tiny cloth and the medium-sized bottle in the medium cloth. And then I ordered the big spray bottle refill. And
we tend to do the wipes at work.
Okay.
Rather than the bottle. Not that I don't like the bottle. I have that here at home. But one of the reasons we didn't want the spray bottle is we were afraid when lending it out to people to clean their own devices.
Yes.
They might spray it places they didn't want. So if you, and the nice thing is they do have them in those little thin packs. So it's great to keep in the car. And then they have this tiny little mini microfiber cloth to dry off the screen and get rid of the water bubbles. So yeah, I highly recommend those for like the car, but they do tend to dry out quickly because after a short period they don't seal well.
I didn't intend this to be a show on whoosh, but you can get a 70 count disposable wipe for $15, 20 count pack for $10. The duo that I got, which is 3.4 fluid ounces and 0.3 fluid ounces with 2 microfiber cloths, was 16. And we wash the microfibers. So, using them in our house for our family, we just,
Well, and we ended up buying a huge pack of the big microfiber cloths from Whoosh for like $5 or $10 on a deal one time. And even as much as we use it at work, we still haven't dirtied up the first one enough to do anything about it. And we've had that for, since before COVID.
You've had something since BC?
Yes. Many things, actually. But yeah, you definitely need to clean those devices as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, and even though you're washing your hands, and I mean, how many of us learned to wash hands, since this, you've still got to wash the devices because, you get the hands relatively clean, but your hands are all over that phone. And I'm in the store swiping through my phone as a shopping list.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? And then I bring it home and I forget to clean it right away. Nah, that's not good.
Well, and you put it down on the shopping cart, or even you go out to one of the few places that might have their dining room open. You set it on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So
so whoosh.
Chances are low.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, chances are low, but definitely clean your phone. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm not as worried about things like COVID as I am about, I can't remember it now, but the like E. coli and strepta something or other that tend
We'll
to,
get you strep throat.
yeah, that tends to hang out. What's that?
I almost had it. Keep talking.
Streptococcus?
Yeah, there's an extra syllable in there.
Trying to remember. Anyway, but yeah, that's the kind of stuff that tends to hang out in the places that you.
Staphylococcus, the staph infection,
Oh yeah, there's that one too.
that can live forever.
But yeah, it tends to be on the surfaces that you'd put down your phone when you're washing your hands.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh no, it's right in the pocket.
that's another thing. Yeah, that's the other thing. Never put down the phone on the bathroom counters. I see that
grab
so
a paper
often.
towel first, put that down, and put the phone
Yeah,
on top.
I still would do it myself, and
If
I'm not
that,
even a germaphobe.
I'm not a germaphobe either, but I guess I'm a covidophobe. Covidophobe.
Well, I think
No,
most of
I'm
us
not
are
really.
to some extent.
I'm not really afraid of getting COVID, but I live with an 85-year-old father, and I don't want to bring it home to him.
Yeah, it's an awareness. It's not a phobia.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and it's prudent. We're trying to be prudent, which
And
again is why you need to make be aware of your contact and exposure when you're out caching. But caching is one of those things where groups are still going to be acceptable, shall we say? Because you're outside, your risk is reduced, and a lot of the reports that I've seen are talking about how the sunlight, specifically sunlight, does neutralize the virus or
that's
kills
because
it
it
out.
has that UV component in it. Natural
Right.
light, that UV component.
And
Where
this is one of the more interesting parts. They were all these people having outdoor parties at night when school came back into session and everyone's getting COVID from it. And that's one of the things they were saying is that it looks like outdoors at night is worse than being indoors because you have the wind blowing it around.
oh really?
So your exposure is still as intense because the UV isn't killing it off, but any of the aerosols get spread wider. So, whereas you might have the two or three people that get impacted in a small room, now it's going to be 10 or 12 people because suddenly that aerosol gets spread around.
I think the Pizza Ninja sums up what we're trying to say. Situation Situational awareness is the key. And it really is.
Yeah.
Look at the situation you're in and figure things out.
Yep.
Do you want to read Kid Vegas 19?
Sure. I was going to say, agree, Pizza Ninja. Closest thing we've gotten to group caching is an FTF party with previous mentioned mountain bike. I had to remember to social distance. And that, I think, is the biggest problem is we're cachers. We're all friends. You want to just go hang out. And we did the group caching, Renee and I with on a boat and Shaved Ewok. Didn't think really much of it. But again, we kept our social distance outside and, we did pretty well. But at a certain point, it was just kind of like, you know what? We're kind of exposed to each other. So, it's probably too late already anyway.
Yeah. So, a shaved Ewok, like a shaved bantha?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. But
Okay.
yeah, I really want to get out and do more group caching. And fortunately, next weekend is a celebration event for us in one of the trail systems that I haven't gotten most of the caches. So I'm really looking forward to that and hopefully getting out and doing some group caching again.
So you can have events in Michigan?
Yes. However, we've been able to have them for a while. you can't have gatherings of more than 10 people indoors. So
Okay.
all of the events are outdoor events. That is going to be a problem. Like even now, because we're getting into freezing temperatures at night.
Mhm.
So events aren't going to be what they should be.
Yeah.
It's going to kind of be drive ups in a little while. And I've still got my celebration event, but I'm hanging on to that because at this point, I don't feel comfortable doing anything. And a big part of that is I don't know if I found someplace that we're not going to get shut down tomorrow.
Oh, gotcha.
We are seeing that surge. Not as bad as some other places, but it's bad. And the health department has taken over the jurisdiction from the governor. So now it's them that's going to be sued and shut down eventually. Pizza Ninja says it's a tough time for mob caches.
Oh, yes, it is. You have to bring multiple of your own devices.
Uh-huh. Or spoof. Not that you heard that here.
I don't know how to do that. So,
I don't have a clue how to do that anymore. I knew how to do it with the old Android devices. Speaking of which, have you gotten into your Adventure Lab creation yet? Enough that you could test?
no, I need to.
I discovered that in test mode, it doesn't do anything with the activation areas.
Oh, really?
So I'm sitting at home doing a Adventure Lab that's miles and miles away, and it's not doing anything. So I'm hoping when I actually go out and do the real test this weekend, it's going to give me an indication because that's one of my concerns. I did the 50-meter radius,
Mm-hmm.
but in some of those areas, I might have to go a little bit broader because of construction that may be there. So I need to figure that out, and not having that radius indicated is a big problem. JD says it is wide open for the test. So yeah, that was a little bit disappointing. But again, if there's something that indicates, okay, you are in the zone,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm fine with it. I just need to know when I'm actually out there where the zones are.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on mine this weekend. That's my plan.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of time left.
No, I got to get it posted.
And I could conceivably turn mine up right now. The only thing I'm looking for is the graphics. I want to do some, decent graphics, and I have placeholders in there right now. And I was very disappointed that they won't let you save without the graphic in there. Because I wanted to get all my text in, get that stuff written up, and then get the photos in later, and you can't do that. So I had to make some placeholder graphics and throw them up there.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for letting me know that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff, and we're going to have to do another show on the Adventure Labs later on, but there's a lot of stuff when I got into it and actually started building my own, I realized just it's not going to work the way that I wanted it to work. And part of that is you only have 1,024 characters. Fortunately, you only have 1,024 characters because you really want to read that much on screen. It's a good thing, but at the same time, I'm thinking now I have to strip down my story to the point that it doesn't make as much sense.
How big can your graphics be? Can you do a graphic novel?
No. Well, and it does that Twitter thing where it's only going to show you that center of the image at some points, and then other points it's going to be big. So you're not getting the full image all the time. I wish I had more control over that as well. But the more I'm playing with it, the more I think that the YouTube videos are the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
definitely more control over the YouTube video than over the text in the story. But yeah, I've got to go out and actually try it out and see how it's working, make sure everything works well, and then I plan on coming back and doing a video on it, and we'll do a show here as well. So by that point, I'm hoping all three of us, because Renee has one as well, we'll have our lab caches out and get some feedback. And with any luck, I will get another lab cache credit, so that or adventure lab credit. I'm still stuck on lab caches, but an adventure lab credit, so that I can do. I did. Pizza Ninja asked a bonus cache or not. That's the question. I did do the bonus cache, which does add some complexity because you can't publish the bonus cache until the lab is finished.
Mm-hmm.
The adventure is finished, and you can't. You got to get everything in place with the adventure lab and get the cache published at the same time. So I'm not sure how to make that all work, but my plan is just turn it live and publish the cache like a day or so before.
Kid Vegas 19 says boots on the ground testing is critical.
Yeah. Always do that. The beta testing.
Yeah. Wet Coaster said, tested my wife's second adventure lab earlier this evening. Worked fine. Only 3,300 kilometers away from me.
Wow. Not nice. Oh, yeah. But getting back to the labs, I really want to get that bonus lab, because I really think getting into the like 80s commercials thing with the ghosts of previous businesses, like think about it. You have the Toys R Us, you have the electronics stores. You can have such fun with that one.
Oh, that is brilliant.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that I can get that bonus cache, so I can put that bonus lab to put that one together. And I think I'm going to get started on it even without the adventure lab credit. When I get done with this one, that's going to be my next prep, is getting that figured out. Find the videos, do the stories and everything, and just work your way through. So now that we're totally off of group caching again,
we
I
had
think another
caching. We were social distancing from it.
Yeah. But I do think one of the important things with group caching now more than ever is planning ahead. Make sure you've got everything in line. And we're not talking about necessarily which caches you're going to go for and all that planning that you used to do. But at this point, things like restrooms aren't necessarily going to be open. You're not necessarily going to find that spot to get a quick bite for lunch. So those kind of planning situations become even more important than what they used to be.
Yeah. And if you're planning that quick bite for lunch, know that it can take twice and 3 times as long as you think it should.
Yeah. And the supplies that go along with you have changed a little bit, because you are going to have all of that personal protective equipment.
Take extra masks, take extra gloves.
Yeah. And my rule is anytime I'm going anywhere for a day, I always have the spare mask with me. Inevitably, it's going to get stinky from something that I walk through, or it's, a warm enough day that I get sweaty,
right,
and you got to change the mask.
And if you're out and it rains, you don't want to put that wet mask back on, because that's going to hold particles right there to your face. So,
right. So all kinds of stuff that you got to plan for now that weren't a factor before. But just like before, plan out those caches, get the list together. It's always nice to get the list of caches that neither one of you have done or all of you have not done. So you're not dealing with, oh, you know what? I found this last year. Can we go find the next one? Better to know that ahead of time.
If there's just a couple of you, that's nice. I did that with Wits End where we were out doing this earth cache, and he's like, "Oh, this is a really good one. Here, I'll stand back." I'm like, "Oh, I hate it when they do that."
That's a different story, though.
Let me stand back and watch you flounder, and then I might give you some help.
And but that is so much fun, though. Being the person watching. Yeah. But I've had a few of those where it's like, I don't even know where it is. Yeah, we had one. I was walking the dog past the park over near the house, and one of our caching buddies happened to be over there looking for his cache a day. It's like, yeah, I found this like 2-3 years ago, something like that. It was like right there. I have no idea where it is now because it was right there. He ended up DNFing it, and I think it's archived not long after that. So it probably was gone. But yeah, it was, sometimes it's not where you found it before.
Yeah, that's very frustrating. I'm like, oh yeah, I found this one. It's right. Well, it's not there. Okay. Now I don't know where it is.
Yeah. And the cache hiders at that trail system that I'm going to next weekend tethered all of their caches to the trees or something else nearby because they had the tendency to walk otherwise. Not walk off, just, change their location.
Oh, this is a better spot. This is where they must have meant to hide it.
Uh-huh. So they ended up having to tether all of their caches to make sure they didn't move too far. Totally understandable, and I'm guilty of it, I'm sure. Yeah, especially when I was a newer cacher, it's like, why the heck would it be here? It's too visible. Okay, I'm moving it over here.
Don't do that.
At this point, though, it's which branch was this on? It's here. It's close enough. So, all right. I think we need to get going, though, because we're getting a little silly and can't seem to stay on course anyway.
A little silly?
Lot silly?
Yeah.
Hey, we've been worse.
Hey, folks, thanks for listening tonight. Next week, we're going to talk about caching cameras. What better to take pictures in the fall as you go out?
And hopefully you don't fall with your camera.
Oh, that's right.
But check the Cache Analytics website for more on the GeoGear heads, including show notes for this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com or through social media. Your support helps keep the Cachemaniacs shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron at the link on the website to support the Cachemaniacs shows. GeoGearheads is produced by Chris Hoffenauer and Daryl Wanberg. This show is copyright 2020 by Daryl Wanberg. All rights reserved.
Cache with a Cachemaniac.